Man United's midfield issues are well documented. Since Sir Alex Ferguson retired in 2013, our transfer plans have focused on big money forwards like Angel Di Maria, Romelu Lukaku, Antony, and Jadon Sancho, or big money defenders like Harry Maguire, Lisandro Martinez, and Lenny Yoro. When it comes to our midfield, we've either splashed the cash for aging midfielders like Casemiro and Nemanja Matic, or we've punted on young and unproven midfielders like Morgan Schneiderlin, Donny van de Beek, and Manuel Ugarte. Our best midfield signings in the last 12 years are probably Ander Herrera and Marouane Fellaini. And some of you might be saying Paul Pogba, but we all know he never hit the heights that were expected from him, even if those expectations were a little unrealistic at times.
Pogba's had 4 assists. No,
we expect that from £100 million man.
This summer was the first time the fans, the media, and the club were all in alignment that we needed to fix our midfield. And we still focused on our attack first. And with all the links to £100 million midfielders like Carlos Baleba, Elliot Anderson, and Adam Wharton, I'm here to tell you today that there's a 21-year-old Senegalese midfielder that we can get in January for just £50 million. And I'm also here to tell you that he reminds me a lot of a certain N'Golo Kanté with his low center of gravity, his engine to cover every single blade of grass, and his defensive hustle to win the ball back. So before the likes of Brighton or Chelsea come sniffing around for him, United should snap this guy up in January and allow him to revolutionize Ruben Amorim's system. Did you know that only 17% of people watching this video are subscribed to the channel? So if you're enjoying the content, please drop a like on the video and subscribe to the channel to show your support. Now let's get on to the rest of the video. Lamine Camara has started the season on fire with 3 assists in 5 Ligue 1 matches, despite starting in a double pivot as the main defensive midfielder next to Denis Zakaria, who some of you might remember from his short stint at Chelsea. If we take a look at his heat map here, you'll see he does most of his box-to-box work on the right half of the midfield, which is exactly where Casemiro plays for United, so Camara could actually be a natural replacement for all of Casemiro's defensive work while also providing some attacking cover when it's needed. But you don't have to take my word for it. I have some clips here from Monaco's 3-2 win against Strasbourg this season, who are currently sitting 3rd in the Ligue 1 table, 2 spots above Monaco in 5th. We start with this clip where a Strasbourg defender is trying to build out from the back, and we see Camara on the right here with Zakaria on the left over here. As this ball is fired into the Strasbourg midfielder right next to Camara, he can't quite get it under control, so it's a loose ball, and Camara pounces on it by being the first one to it. And instead of making the safe pass back over here, what Camara does is he turns on the inside and decides to go on the overlap into this right wing area to get past the midfielder. And watch how easily he's able to beat his man for pace and get into a really nice attacking right wing position right here, where he tries to find Balogun in this area, but the execution is unfortunately not perfect. But to be fair, there was only one Monaco player to hit in the box. Now, can you guys imagine Casemiro or Ugarte being able to do this from the same position that Camara just did it from? Casemiro is probably smart enough and cute enough with his feet, but he doesn't have the legs. He probably never did to do something like that. And Ugarte probably has the legs, but he isn't cute enough. He probably gets tackled by somebody on the way to do that. So this is exactly the type of impetus the United midfield needs. Somebody who can not only win the ball, but progress the ball forward with his dribbling when he does win it. In this next clip, we see Kamara's game awareness in the build-up. Monaco have the ball over here on the right-hand side, and Camara is right here in the middle being marked by number 32. As this ball is fired into Balogun in the middle here, who's their striker, pay attention to Kamara's movements, right? He starts to initiate his run, and what he's essentially doing is he notices that the center back is coming tight onto Balogun, so this space is now opened up for somebody to attack. And so there's 2 things Camara is doing. He's essentially trying to get into that space himself, and also forcing this midfielder to come with him so that he's not free to go press Balogun over here. And in effect, if Balogun wants to find him, that's an option for Monaco, an extra attacking option. And the other thing it does is Balogun now has space to do whatever he wants in the midfield instead of having another midfielder attacking him from the front. Now, I know this seems like a very subtle movement, But for me, it shows very good game intelligence when a young defensive midfielder like Camara can make runs like these to disrupt the opposition's shape. People might assume that a defensive midfielder's job is only to defend, but those that paid attention to N'Golo Kanté in his prime, you would know that he was very involved in Chelsea's attacks and often found himself inside the box after winning the ball in the middle of the pitch. Now in this clip, we have Golovin dropping deep over here to help progress the ball, and you can see Camara in the middle over here again. And as we play forward, Golovin receives the ball and he attempts to play a pass into Camara over here, but it takes a deflection off the Strasbourg midfielder, and Camara essentially reads the path really well, takes it onto his chest, beats that defender who's trying to put a tackle in very smartly, and he's clear out onto the dribble on the left-hand side again. So we just saw him do the same thing on the right-hand side, where he essentially wins the ball or takes the ball forward and takes it all the way to the edge of the box. In this case, he has an easy pass over to Balogun up ahead of him, but unfortunately he overhits it and the opportunity is kind of lost. So I don't know if you guys are seeing it, but his dribbling style does remind me a lot of N'Golo Kanté. He definitely needs to improve his end product here when he makes these attacking moves, but he already seems to have a lot of the basics that you would need to become that quality of player. Next, let's take a look at Kamara's strength and hustle. At 5'9" and only 65 kilos, Camara isn't the biggest or strongest midfielder you've ever seen, but he really knows how to use his body to push stronger players off the ball, and this gives me a lot of confidence in his ability to adapt to the Premier League. Here we see Strasbourg about to take a throw-in, and Camara is the last man to the right of your screen here, defending against the 6'2" striker Panicelli. As this ball comes in, look at how Camara fights to stay ahead of Panicelli the whole time. He's trying to push and shove within reason as much as possible to try to get ahead of him to this ball. There he dives kind of in front of him while maintaining his balance, and then he shoves him again here so that he doesn't get the ball. And essentially, without fouling him, he manages to keep the ball off a much stronger player. So again, this is a very underrated ability in any outfield player, but it's especially needed when you're a defensive midfielder or a defender, and it's especially needed when you're playing in the Premier League. Moises Caicedo at 5'10" is also very good at doing exactly this by using his body to either win the ball or shield the ball when he has possession. In this clip, we see a long ball that's just come in from Herdetsky, and it's come into the Strasbourg backline, and this guy's headed it away. As the second ball is coming into this area, you'll see Camara emerging from the side of your screen here because he's trying to attack a loose touch. And so this Strasbourg player wins the header, but Kamara's on it right away to get the ball off him and strike it into a loose area. Unfortunately, Strasbourg end up winning possession here, but you can see the N'Golo Kanté in this guy all the way he rushed up from here to here, anticipating a loose touch and anticipating that there's a chance to win the ball back. Now in this next clip, we have Strasbourg trying to play the ball into the middle over here into this player. And I want you guys to pay attention to Kamara's movement throughout. As the ball is played in, Kamara's immediately on his bike to, again, anticipate a loose touch from this guy. And he keeps chasing him down till essentially, he gives the ball away. So this is the first touch where he knocks him off balance and, he's forced to pass the ball out here. So that's what he does. And as soon as he passes it, again, he's staying on this guy, clipping at his heels, trying to make sure he stays close. And as soon as he gets the return pass, you'll see Camara again do a shoulder barge right there to knock this guy off balance. And essentially the referee says no foul, right? So Monaco win the ball back. This is exactly the type of smart and tactical defending that we need in our team right now. Unfortunately, while Casemiro could do something similar, he doesn't have the legs to stay tight to a winger for as long as Camara just did. Now, for those of you that are still watching, if you're thinking, oh, he seems to have a decent dribbling and defensive skill set, but can he contribute to the game with his passing? How good is his vision? And how good is he with his pressing abilities? Well, you're in luck because that's exactly what we're going to look at next. Here we have Strasbourg trying to build out from the back, and Monaco are ready to press them with their front three here, and Chao Enrique, who's their left back, and Camara, who stepped up into midfield. As Balogun initiates this press on the goalkeeper, watch who Camara is marking closely, because with Balogun, who's on the goalie, presumably this ball is coming out in this direction, so you have Golovin marking the center back here, which leaves Chao Enrique to mark the right back who's just behind my head right there. And that leaves Camara to mark these two midfielders here. As soon as that ball is played out to the right back in this direction, Golovin closes in on the right center back over here, and Chao Enrique is trying to close the gap with the right back over here. And that's the signal for Camara to sprint and start marking this player so that there isn't an easy out pass into this area over here. And so Strasbourg essentially get hounded by all of the four Monaco players here, and they have no idea what to do, and they give out an easy possession away. And unfortunately, Golovin can't find the next pass, so it doesn't end up being very fruitful, and this player is able to clear it out. Again, in this move, Camara is not the star of the show, but you can see he knows exactly when he needs to initiate the press and when he needs to stay put to maintain Monaco's defensive shape. With Casemiro in the team, I always feel like our pressing shape is missing something, almost like we have the handbrake on because Casemiro's legs are gone. But with someone like Camara, we can fully commit to the press and cause havoc in the final third for the opponents, much like Monaco did just here. In this clip, we get to see how press-resistant Camara is in possession, because Lord knows we need someone of this quality in the United midfield. We start here with Camara on the ball in his own half, and number 80 right here is trying to get his revenge for the earlier clip that we saw. As we played along, Camara sees him coming over his shoulder, so he turns on the inside to try to get away from the tackle right there, and then he quickly turns on the outside to try to get away from him again. And finally, as we played along, as he's still hounding him, he turns on the inside to get away from that guy, pass the ball safely into Moissa, who can lay it off to Zakaria over here and start an attack for Monaco. Again, this is a subtle, maybe even underappreciated part of his game, and it definitely doesn't directly lead to a win or a loss, but it shows the composure that Camara has under pressure, and it also allows the teammates that are around him to relax whenever he's on the ball, because they know 9 times out of 10 he's probably not going to lose it. Now in this clip, we see Camara's vision, which is arguably the area that he needs to develop the most, given some of the earlier clips that we saw where he missed the cross and he missed the through ball for Balogun. And in this case, we start with Camara receiving the ball on the kind of the right back position here. As we skip forward a bit, Camara receives support from his right back, so he lays it off to him. And I want you guys to pay attention to Bireth in the cam position here. He's making this diagonal run to get into this space over here, and there's nobody really in the middle to receive the ball from the right back so that they can play it forward into Bireth. So the only way the ball can get to this guy, or rather the quickest way it can get to him, is by Camara receiving the ball and playing it through this narrow channel through these two to get it into this area. And Camara does exactly that with a first-time pass into Bireth, and this sets up Monaco really nicely to have Teze join Bireth here and essentially have him go on an overlap where Bireth makes a nice pass, and now Monaco are in this threatening position on the attack, right? So all of this happens just because of that one quick pass that Camara makes. And to be fair to Casemiro, this is something he is actually really good at in terms of the first time passes into space or the first time switch to the other side to progress the ball forward. So to see Camara pulling this off with relative ease is a great sign for someone like Man United who could be potentially signing him. Now our last clip for the video is Camara's assist for the Balogun goal in the 48th minute. Monaco have just defended a counter-attack here, and they're trying to release the ball forward. As this pass is played out to Balogun over here, Camara actually finds himself in some space, so he feels like he's ready to attack this pocket to provide support to Balogun. As Balogun tries to flick this onwards, it kind of goes up in the air, so it's an awkward bouncing ball, and this guy realizes that maybe there's a chance for Strasbourg to win the ball back, so he dives in, but Camara's, able to stay cool and kind of wiggle the ball underneath him. So he gets the pass through, and Balogun is basically straight through on goal, right? So he has to time this pass perfectly so that Balogun isn't offside. And fortunately, he manages to do just that, and Balogun is basically straight through on goal, and he puts it past the goalkeeper. Now, what I like most about this is the kind of stuff that Camara would have to do at least 5 times per game when he has the likes of Mbeumo and Diallo to hit on the right wing as they're running in behind. He can also switch play and hit the 2 players on the left. And I'm just generally excited about the prospects of this guy. He's a diminutive midfielder that can dribble, that can pass, that can defend, and he is deceptively strong both on and off the ball. He did just sign with Monaco last season for a 5-year contract, but with his current value according to Transfermarkt being around 22 million euros, I think we should be able to get him for anywhere between 50 to 60 million euros, which is about 50 million pounds. And for that price, he is an absolute steal. I am very confident that he's going to adapt to the Premier League like a duck to water, and I really, really do not want him to go to Brighton or Chelsea, just like we lost out on Enzo Fernandez and Moises Caicedo in the summer when Ralf Rangnick was still here. In fact, we also lost out on Julian Alvarez that summer. What do you guys think? Are you excited about Lamine Camara as a solution to our midfield problems? I think he fits in perfectly next to someone like Bruno Fernandes to provide that ground covering that we need, to provide that extra defensive cover that we need. If you guys agree, or even if you don't, get in the comments below, share your thoughts. And if you're still watching, tomorrow we have a live stream where we're going to talk about whether Amorim deserves 3 years at the club. So please be sure to join at 1 p.m. Eastern Time or 6 p.m. UK. All right, that's it for me. Peace out.